Everybody has a story. Everybody's story matters immensely. Your story matters to you and it matters to God. Nobody gets the story they want. I want to talk to you today about how to make your story big and great. And I want to actually start by saying a word to somebody who is an incredibly important friend to me and to tons of people all over the place, and to Become New in the Fellowship of the Withered Hand. He is a man named Sam Reeves, and Sam is hitting a milestone birthday right now. I will not say which milestone it is, but it is a significant one. And at a time when a lot of people would be kind of resting on their laurels and taking it easy, and Sam would easily be able to do that, he is charging forward, and just by sheer dint of life force, impacting more people than just about maybe anybody, literally, to use one of Sam's favorite words, that I know. I first met him over 35 years ago. I joined the board at Fuller Seminary, and he was becoming the chair of that board. And in his first session, he gave a talk, and he started playing this song from Les Mis, Do You Hear the People singing the songs of angry men, as the music of a people. And it was such an inspiring thing. Sam's got tears running down his cheeks. People sitting in this boardroom in a board meeting, for crying out loud, are just weeping at the beauty of this world and what might be done. And Sam is that way. He's constantly curious. This tremendous appetite for life. One of his favorite sayings is just the way we like it. Whatever's going on, that's kind of thy will be done on steroids. Whatever it is that I have to face, together with God, I will be able to do this. This tremendous sense of Christ-centered optimism. In the darkest moments of life, he would say, we're going to double down on the cross. And that's what we do. Constantly asking, how can I bring life and help to other people? When Nancy and I were a young married couple and we had no money at all, Sam made arrangements for me to come speak for this big kind of cotton convention. Sam is the president of the biggest cotton import-export firm around. And so I spoke for this thing, and they paid a much larger honorarium than I had ever seen. It actually enabled Nancy and I to buy a used van from my Uncle Dale. That time we had 3 kids, 4 and under, so they were all in car seats in the back of this real old, very small Toyota Corolla. When we were able to get that van, when Nancy found out about that, that came through Sam, she actually, I'm not making this up, got down on the ground and kissed my feet. And that has not happened again in the last 35 years. In the darkest moments of my life, our life, Sam was the person that we turned to, that I turned to. I'll never forget conversations where he would say stuff like, you can reinvent yourself. And I thought, well, yeah, I can do that. So, Sam, I cannot express my gratitude or love to you. Happy birthday. And in the moments that remain here, I want to talk to all of us, just in view of the dynamic that this relationship has had in my life, on as you live your story, how do you get out of the smallness of a little petty mind and a life that's just oriented around routine or comfort, and live with a great big God in a great big world? And it's actually a little paradoxical, but it's beautiful. And I want to return to this story that I have been citing in a few of these sessions, called A Gentleman in Moscow. In this book, the central character, Count Rostov, has been exiled. He is imprisoned in the Hotel Metropole, and so his enemies are trying to make his life very small, and for some time they succeed. He's just preoccupied with his own little life and his own little concerns, and he cannot leave this building, and so his world is shrinking. The text says, if he continued along this course, it would not take long for the ceiling to edge downward, the walls to edge inward, the floor to edge upward, until the entire hotel had been collapsed into the size of a biscuit tin. And that's what happens. That's what ego, that sin makes us small. We'll come back to that idea. And then there's another character at this point in the story. She is a young girl with insatiable curiosity, and for some reason she befriends the Count, and her name is Nina, and she's constantly noticing people and asking questions and learning. It is a very big world when you begin to notice people and you become curious and you get interested and you care. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter if your job or where you live or anything else looks large or small. The soul is enormous and the universe is enormous and God is very big. Especially, as Sam would say, notice people on the margins. Notice people that get overlooked, and that's what Nina does. The text says, it's like sailing on a steamship. Having enjoyed an afternoon shooting clay pigeons off the starboard bow, a passenger dresses for dinner, dines at the captain's table, outplays the cocky French fellow at baccarat, strolls under the stars on the arm of a new acquaintance, all the while congratulating himself he's made the most of a journey at sea. But in point of fact, he has only exposed himself to a glimpse of life on the ship, having utterly ignored those lower levels that teem with life and make the passage possible, the overlooked, the people at the margins. Nina had not contented herself with the views from the upper deck. She'd gone below, behind, around, about. In the time that Nina had been in the hotel, the walls had not grown inward, they had grown outward, expanding in scope and intricacy. In her first weeks, the building had grown to encompass the life of 2 city blocks. In her first months, as she got to know people, had conversations, discovered their worlds, because your world always gets larger when you're interested in somebody else's world. That's the nature of the soul. In her first months, it had grown to encompass half of Moscow. If she lived in the hotel long enough, it would soon encompass all of Russia. And the Count is astounded at the size of the soul of this young girl. And so he asks her, when she's been telling him about some of what she has seen and learned and who she's got to know, where else do you spend your time? She weighed the Count's remark, looked left and looked right. Meet me here, she said, tomorrow at 2. And thus began the Count's education. And thus began the Count's education. God wants to make your story very great. I don't mean necessarily in the eyes of this world. Paul says we regard no one according to the flesh anymore. It's just not about that. It's about the size of your heart and the aliveness of your mind and the bigness of our God. The truth is that hell, a life devoted to my own gratification and my own comfort and satisfying my own desires, actually makes people smaller and smaller and smaller. There's a fabulous passage in C.S. Lewis' book, The Great Divorce, where he's with his mentor, George MacDonald, and they've come from what seemed to be this enormous gray, cold city that's kind of a picture of hell onto the front regions of heaven. And here's part of what MacDonald tells C.S. Lewis in The Great Divorce. All hell is smaller than one pebble of your earthly world, but it's smaller than one atom of this world, the real world. Look at yon butterfly. If it swallowed all hell, hell would not be big enough to do it any harm or to have any taste. It seems big enough when you're in it, sir. And yet, all loneliness, angers, hatreds, envies, and itchings that it contains, if rolled into one single experience and put into the scale against the least moment of the joy that is felt by the least in heaven, would have no weight that could be registered at all. Bad cannot succeed even in being bad as truly as good is good. If all hell's miseries together entered the consciousness of yon wee yellow bird on that bough there, they would be swallowed up without a trace, as if one drop of ink had been dropped into that great ocean, to which your terrestrial Pacific is only a molecule. So make your story big, and you do that by making space for other people. This is over and over and over again in Scripture. To begin with something that's just small, right where you are, actually grows. Mustard seeds become the largest of trees. In Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, in the 6th and 7th chapter, he keeps using these two different verbs where he will say, we have made space in our heart for you. And he uses a verb that's widening and broadening like a vast plain or plateau. And the contrast is to constrict your heart, to restrict it, to not make space. And then you make it small, this spatial picture. Make room in your hearts for us. My grandmother, a very simple woman, never went to school beyond the 8th grade. But her curiosity, I remember she lived with us when I was a kid, seeing her for quite a few months, carrying around this copy of Josephus. She's reading Josephus. She had 21 grandchildren. And somebody would ask her occasionally, how do you care for 21 grandchildren? And she said, it's like every time you have another one, God adds another room to your heart. The soul is vast, vast beyond measure. So make the story big today. Be interested. Be curious. Go to the margins. Find out about somebody. Ask them questions. Care about their lives. Most of all, think about God. Ask, where can you find God in the world? Ask God, would you give me hope so that no matter what is happening politically or culturally or financially in this world, I know that the future of this world in my own life does not depend on that. I'm going to double down on the cross and the man who was on the cross and the resurrection. Thy will be done just the way we like it. Make your story great.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any future teachings from John Ortberg here at Become New. My name's Tim, and I'm a part of the team here. This series is all about stories. Everybody has a story, and everybody's story matters. And we want to know about your story, whether it's a story of coming to faith or a story of spiritual growth. Whatever it is, we're here for you. You can email that to us at connect@becomenew.com, or you can text it to us. You can also sign up for daily reminders whenever we drop a new video via text by texting the word BECOME to the number 855-888-0444. You can also send us prayer requests there. There's a team of us that meet to pray each weekday for viewers just like yourself. If you'd like to receive the emails that go along with each video, be sure to check that out at becomenew.com/subscribe. More than a video to watch, this is really a community to belong to, and we're so glad that you're a part of it. We'll catch you next time.